Welcome to the program. I'm your host, Neil Howard, here on Health Professional Radio. Astellas Oncology has announced the 3 finalists for the 2020 C3 Prize as Changing Cancer Care. One of the finalists is joining us here today, Lisa McKenzie. She's going to share her vision in changing cancer care with the Unite Empowering event. It's a narrative therapy storytelling course that helps cancer patients articulate their life's journey, find their inner strength, and basically encourage others with cancer. Welcome to the program, Lisa. Thanks for joining.
Thank you so much for having me.
A bit of your background, if you would. Tell us a bit about your personal connection to cancer. What prompted you to create the Unite Empowering events?
In 2012, I had a couple of friends who got diagnosed with cancer, and they were movers and shakers in my community, very confident women. And as soon as they got diagnosed, their lives just totally flipped and changed overnight. And I saw how sad they were, and their self-esteem changed. And I have a big events background, as well as I'm very, very tied into my sorority, all these years. And I've just seen the power of sisterhood and how social networks, social connections with strong tribes can pull people out of doldrums and help them see themselves differently. So I created a program back in 2012. Well, it wasn't a program when I started. It was just an idea to have some women get on a runway stage. And then it blossomed into this very large program I have here in New Orleans, Louisiana.
Some women on a runway stage. It started out as describe that.
Yeah. So what we wanted to do back in the early days in 2012 was I went to a cancer support meeting at a hospital, and everybody was sitting there with their headscarves on under fluorescent lights with video, screens showing this deep flap procedure, like this bloody screen. Everybody looked depressed, their body language depressed. And I thought, gosh, is this the way they see themselves now? And I went with my friends to that meeting. So I just thought, is there a way that we can help them see themselves for the way they truly are? So I think women who get diagnosed with cancer all of a sudden start believing that's their new permanent reality. And they forget the incredible women they were before and the women they can be after. So the idea of the runway show was to help them kind of get their power back by being on that stage in front of their friends and family. But what happened after the show was what really created the program, was that we realized, wow, these women are longing for a sisterhood of support that lasts long after the event. And we also realized that in that audience were doctors and physicians and social workers and women who were or people who were alongside these survivors in their journey. And they were in the audience crying. And we said, okay, we've discovered, the missing link in cancer care, which is the emotional care side of it. And it's critical to healing.
Were you surprised by the response of healthcare providers who deal in oncology on a daily basis? Did they even realize that they should be paying attention or should consider that emotional self-esteem aspect of what their patients were going through?
I mean, I think I was surprised. A physician, a very well-known oncologist, came up to me after the show, and he was doing like the bow down thing to me and saying, oh my gosh, he named a particular patient of his and said, I've been watching her, lose her sense of self, and she was on that stage, looked like a new person. And they tell us afterwards that these ladies are new people, and they are cheerleaders for other women going through cancer, saying, if I could do this, you could do it. And so to see the reaction of the oncologist or the physicians, that's probably as important to me to breathe life into their profession as it is to the women I serve. And that has been the basis of everything we do, is to develop these very strong relationships with hospitals and physicians so that they can take care of the physical part and we could come alongside and help heal the mind, body, and soul.
Coming March 23rd, you're going to present this pitch virtually. That's correct?
That's right. I'm very excited about it.
Have you, I know you're describing it in lots of detail to us here today, but how have you prepared for that pitch?
Well, what I want the listeners to know is that the Runway program was just the origins of what I do now. The idea that came for us came out of 2020, like the worst year ever for so many people. And, we are a live events organization. We create empowering group experiences for our participants. And in January of 2020, we launched our program with 50 women. And then in March, completely sidelined, like so many other nonprofit events across the country. And so not only were these women dealing with the emotional fallout of a cancer diagnosis, but now we were having to be on Zoom with 50 of them as a team and telling them, we're so sorry, these events don't look like they're going to happen. And so in the middle of the year, around June, I woke up with this aha moment, and I thought, oh my gosh, like Cowabunga, I was so excited. I said, what if we bring these ladies continue their program with socially distant standards, get them on the stage at the event center, but have a very limited audience because there were, fewer than 250 total people that could be allowed in the building. That include our film crew, hair stylists, and the ladies themselves. So what if we can film them and bring that experience to people at home? I mean, now we have a captive audience. Everyone's stuck at home and probably binge watching other shows. And so, but with that, we said, when you watch the Olympics and they do the backstory of an athlete and you get to know the person competing for the gold, we said, this is the first time we get to do the backstory of these ladies, because in a live event, you just don't have the time. But with a captive audience at home, you could tell their stories. And what I want to point out is that when you ask a cancer survivor to tell their story, 9 times out of 10, the story always is this. I'll never forget the day I found out I have cancer. This was my surgery. This was my treatment, my radiation, the end. And then, but we said, no, we're going to pry just a little bit more and peel back the layers and remind you of the person you really are, which is, maybe you were a woman who jumped out of an airplane with the 1st Army platoon, or you raised a pack, or you're a chef, or you're a gardener, and really leave these legacy stories that help them. I know how to do this, and that's one of the reasons I was able to fight cancer, was because of my backstory. So that's what this narrative therapy experience is all about that I pitched to Astellas, is that we want the story to really not only help the women that go through the program, or men, to write their story, but to provide hope to so many others to say, I relate with that, and I can see my own journey through this person, and to be brave, just to be human.
What is your vision for the future of the program? I mean, are you thinking maybe worldwide, a permanent platform, a permanent channel to further the development of your idea?
Absolutely, because locally we have seen our program work. And I've always said, how can we bottle and sell this, where people enter our program saying they're emotionally at a 1 level and they leave at 4s and 5s, and said, okay, if we're doing something right, what can we do to expand this to offer it to more people? And so this Astellas Prize has been life-changing for me already, because first of all, it breathed so much oxygen into my soul to know that I'm on the right course. But, they, aside from the prize money, they offer those relationships with Matter and Slalom to have counseling to help us scale these ideas. And that is very exciting to me. And just that healthcare providers are listening right now, knowing that we can partner alongside what they're doing, whether it be their nurse navigators, therapists, social work, whoever is in that area of emotional healing and can realize how critical it is and how what we're doing works. We really want to partner with that part of the community to make this program accessible to anyone. And because it's a web-based program, everyone can join from Zoom, or they can do it on their own if they don't feel like being in a group setting. It's really amazing that COVID gave us that gift of saying, how can we utilize technology to still have this love for each other and this empowerment?
Now, I heard you mention that people can listen in on Zoom. We'd like to learn more about the C3 Prize, and let us know where we can tune in to the live pitch.
Yeah, so they have a website. It's c3prize.com, and that's capital C3prize.com. And also, I believe it's going to be streaming on Facebook. There's an event created where anybody could like it so that they follow it. And I am super excited to share the complete picture of what we're offering to the world.
Well, I appreciate you joining us here on Health Professional Radio as one of the finalists for the 2020 C3 Prize. I'm hoping that we can talk again in the future about your pitch and see how things progressed.
Thank you so much.
You've been listening to Health Professional Radio. I'm your host, Neil Howard, in conversation with Lisa McKenzie, one of the 2020 C3 Prize finalists. Audio copies of this program are available at hpr.fm and healthprofessionalradio.com.au. You can also subscribe to the podcast on iTunes. Listen in, download it SoundCloud, and be sure and subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com, Health Professional Radio.